Good morning and welcome to Happy Trails Hiking. On this video, I'm going to tell you about my travel tips for Great Smoky Mountain National Park. My name is Kay and I'm happy that you have joined me. Thank you for clicking on this video. Appreciate that so much. So over the years, Matt and I have been to Great Smoky Mountains National Park. I don't even know how many times. So many times. We grew up in West Tennessee, and in the late 90s, I went to work over on the western side of the Smokies in Lake Junaluska, North Carolina, and spent a lot of times in the summer there. Matt spent a lot of times in the summers in the Blue Ridge Mountains and got to see a lot of the Smokies. But Great Smoky Mountains National Park holds a very special place in our hearts. And really wanted to tell you a lot about that, and didn't feel like just one video could show you exactly what all of our tips and things were for this. It's just such an immense place. So welcome to the live show, those of you who are in here with me live. And if you have something that you want to share about Great Smoky Mountains National Park, I'll be happy to add that to our list here. Please put at Happy Trails Hiking, and I will be more than happy to help you out and share your comment as well. It's great to see everybody today. Thanks for being here. Now, the first thing that you need to know about Great Smoky Mountains National Park is the general vicinity of it. It's huge, and it covers two states. Well, not covers, but it includes two states. So Tennessee is on this side, and North Carolina is on this side. And you can see that there's this lovely yellow line traveling right here to show you the state line. So this is just a general map. It came from the National Park Service. So you'll notice up here that there is the nps.gov. You can find this map on the National Park Service website, and that is the first place I go to talk about and look at what I'm going to do when I visit a national park, any national park in general. I go and I look at the map and I go, okay, so what are some of the things that I am interested in doing while I'm there and things like that? So here's your map, and it really kind of shows you the general area. First thing that I like to look at is, where am I going to stay when I go over there? Because I don't live there. So where am I going to stay? So tip number one, we're going to talk about places to stay. So let's take a look at this. There's a visitor center right here, Sugarlands Visitor Center. And you can see a visitor center down here, Cades Cove. And you can see a visitor center. Let's see, it's right here. Well, Oconoluftee Visitors Center is right here. And then there's a little visitor center at Smokemont as well. A little ranger station, not a visitor center, but a ranger station at Smokemont, ranger station at Deep Creek, a ranger station at Cataloochee, ranger station at Big Creek, at Cosby, at Greenbrier, at Abrams Creek, and then right here at Look Rock. Now, these ranger stations are most of the time going to be along with campgrounds. So you can also see that there are places to stay as campgrounds. Some of these campgrounds are better. Not better. Some of these campgrounds have more facilities than others. Elkmont is the one that we've stayed at, and we will be talking about that one in more specificity with better examples and pictures here in a little bit. So places that are good to stay. Lots of people think about Gatlinburg. It is the gateway to the Smokies. It is right here. It's a little town. There are lots of things to do. Also, Pigeon Forge. I-40 is right up here, uh, off the map. So it's right above the map. So there's an interstate that you get off of, and then you end up in Sevierville, down through Pigeon Forge, and through Gatlinburg. So that's where Matt and I have most stayed when we were there, and when we've gone to visit. But other great places that you can stay, there are small places, Airbnbs, and I think a couple of new hotels and things over in Cherokee at the Cherokee Reservation area, as well as Waynesville, Missouri. Sorry, Waynesville, North Carolina, has some great places to stay as well. Townsend is another great place to stay. We've stayed there, and it's called the quieter side of the Smokies. So that is that's a great place to stay. We've actually stayed in a cabin over there as well. Some of the things that you're going to find in Gatlinburg and all along this area, so Gatlinburg and Wares Valley and Townsend, are going to be cabins and chalets. So cabin rentals or house rentals up there are often called chalets. So if you are going to look for places to stay in Gatlinburg or in Townsend, look for chalets. It's a interesting little local kind of colloquialism, I guess. So, but yeah, that's what they call them, is chalets. And Matt and I have stayed in a cabin in Townsend, and it was right outside of, it was like right here in this area right here. And we could see the national park. We just couldn't get to it. So it was really interesting to stay there, and it was so quiet, and it was wonderful to be there at that time. So there is that. Does anybody have any questions at this point about places to stay? There are so many options. I'm going to get rid of that. And I would like to show you a couple things about Gatlinburg. Gatlinburg is the busiest place. Great Smoky Mountains National Park is it's the most visited national park in the NPS system, in the US NPS system. It's on the way to Florida. It's on the East Coast. There are lots of little towns and things to do other than just hike in the national park. Just hike, you know. So that's a big thing. But Gatlinburg, if you're going to stay in Gatlinburg, I want you to remember to pack your patience, because this is what you're going to see quite often. Maybe not the car from Alabama, but you're going to sit in traffic. There are traffic lights. They're all numbered, and they go all the way down the strip in Gatlinburg. And Gatlinburg is not a big town. It's a little town, and there's buildings on either side. You have 4 lanes of traffic and pedestrians and people who, you know, are just enjoying being there. And as Lori Bryant is saying, Gatlinburg is very walkable once you get there. And I agree. I would suggest that you walk anywhere that you possibly can go. But if you're going to stay in Gatlinburg and want to visit the national park, you're going to need to drive, because you really can't get anywhere in the national park without driving. Well, okay, I don't want to say it that way. You really can't get into the national park from Gatlinburg without driving. So, and Panhandle Hopper is saying, thanks for sharing this info. We're visiting in June and staying in Gatlinburg in an Airbnb. Excellent. That's great. And I'm very excited to hear about your trip. That'll be amazing. And Life on the Trail is asking, is the traffic as bad as Jackson Hole, Wyoming? Comparable. Yes, I would say so. Jackson Hole, there's that square. And Gatlinburg, there's no square. It's just basically one long strip. And yeah, so yes, I agree. Lori does say that you can even walk to the Sugarland Visitor Center. Yes, but Lori, there are some things to do around Sugarland's Visitor Center. There's not a shuttle, really, like there is in like Zion to get you to other parts of the park. There's a trolley that goes from Gatlinburg, and it might stop at the visitor center, but I don't remember that or not. Yes. So, but you can walk. You're right. There are some things to do at the Sugarlands Visitor Center, and I highly recommend people stopping by the visitor center first. That is, that's our main tip, is to stop by the visitor center. And Sugarlands Visitor Center is right inside the park, and it is right at it's the headquarters. So there are some things to do, and there is a cute little trail called Cataract Falls Trail and a nature trail behind the visitor center, and there is some neat things to see. So that's cool. Other things about Gatlinburg. Yes, it's very busy, but there's lots of fun things to do. This is a very large rocking chair that Matt and I climbed up into, and we're taking pictures and things. There's also on the strip, nightlife is really fun. There's new and things have really exploded in Gatlinburg in the last 10 years, I would say. It used to just be all these little kitschy shops and knickknacks and things like that. But now there's like moonshine and moonshine tastings, because that's a thing in the mountains, I guess. And there's lots of restaurants. There's a Bubba Gump's, and there's a microbrewery that Matt and I really enjoy, Smoky Mountain microbrewery. And so we really like that. There aren't any like shows and things. If you want to see shows, you need to go into Pigeon Forge. But other than that, Gatlinburg is a really fun place to stay, and that's where we enjoy staying. There are lots of things to eat and things to do. Second tip, and this one most of the time when I would think of tips, I would think, okay, make sure that you see these places. Something that Lori and I did that I couldn't do a video on, and it was really just because it was hard, but was to go see the synchronous fireflies. So tip number 2, synchronous fireflies. How many of you might have ever heard of synchronous fireflies? So what these things are, the normal fireflies, they fly around, they blink. One here, one there, one there, one there. So there's synchronous fireflies, though, blink all at once. It's like a cloud of blinking. Blink, 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 stop. Blink, 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 stop. So this is a phenomena that happens around the Elkmont area in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. If you want to go, it happens around the first week of June. And it's nature. So you just don't know, right? You don't have a certain time. These things are born, they mate, and they die. So around the first week in June, Lori and I planned a trip. We said, we're going to try to go. They run shuttles from the Sugarlands Visitor Center to Elkmont Campground, and that's the only way you can go unless you have a reservation to stay in Elkmont Campground. So let me share what I have from these synchronous fireflies. It was pretty funny. All right. So this is Lori and this was our rock. You can see this red piece of film here. This was to put over the screens on your cameras to show the light because they want it to stay as natural as possible. We sat in a crowd of, I don't know, there were hundreds of people there. Let's just say it that way. Nobody was making a sound. And you'll see that in just a minute. But they gave you these red films to put over your camera not lenses, but your displays, so that you could have everything covered and you wouldn't have to disturb the light with the thing. So Lori and I decided we were going to go and we were going to try to get tickets, because you get tickets by a lottery system, and you get to, well, Lori was on the phone, and as we were driving across the state of Tennessee, I went and picked her up. She was on the phone as we were driving across the state, trying to get into this lottery tickets. It was really funny. But anyway, so we got there, and you can see the red film on the back of Lori's camera here, and you can see all the people there. Well, you go out and you sit in Elkmont area in Daisytown, and you just sit there and you watch these fireflies. I tried to film it. Here's what you get. You can listen to the whole thing. Ready? Do you see the little blinking? Any little blinking? Here, I'll even show that to you bigger. Let's do that bigger, because I can get smaller. There we go. Let's try that one more time. Are you ready? One or two little blinks. That's it. Yes, that's exactly what Desmond Thunder said. This is one or two little blinks. That's it. Yeah. So that's not what it looked like if I'd have known so much more about photography, it would have been so much better. You would really need a night photography package or a night videography package, and then you would be able to film these. But on the video, it looked like blink, blink, blink. But it was nature's Christmas lights, as Gilbert Rod says up here. Yes, nature's Christmas lights. And they were everywhere. I mean, it was just like, oh my gosh. Hi, Diana. And yes, I understand. You don't have to be sorry. It was so hard to photograph. And I told you I couldn't do a video on them. I get it. I was like, all right, there's nothing I could put out here that would even do this justice or even come close. So you have to see it yourself. You can't see it on video. And it's one of those things that I just get to say, you had to be there. And Matt's like, well, I wanted to see them. Why didn't you take pictures of them? And I'm sorry, honey, I couldn't. I did my best. Here's what I got. All right. So for places to go, tip number 3, places to go. We're going to go back to our map for just a minute. And then I'm going to show you pictures of my places to go and places that we enjoyed the most. All right. So our map. If we're here at Sugarlands Visitors Center, there's lots of different places you can go. Gatlinburg is right here, and there's a road that takes you out to, you see Roaring Forks Nature Trail, and I just went the wrong way. It's a one-way road, and it's really interesting and goes around here. The neat thing about the Smokies is that it's so historic, and so there's so many different things to see on it. It's not just we're going to go out in nature and we're going to see these things. Roaring Forks Nature Trail is a wonderful, Roaring Forks Motor Trail, pardon me, is a wonderful place to see the history behind Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So as I said, it's right here, Roaring Forks Motor Trail. And it says it's closed in winter. And I can see why. It's not very high in the mountains. You can see kind of the elevation here. It's not very high in the mountains, but there's this twisty, windy little road. And I can see where they couldn't get snowplows through there at all. And as Lori Bryant says, it is less traveled than Cades Cove. However, when we were there in October, my parents tried to head over that direction and they got stuck in traffic. There was a bear jam and they never did get to go see it. So, Roaring Forks Motor Trail, I'm going to share that with you and kind of talk about that for just a couple minutes. And I hope you're enjoying this. And if you have any questions, please be sure to ask either in the comments or down in the comments or over in the chat. All right, so lots of log cabins with the shake shingles, and you'll see lots of these. This is the Ephraim Bales place, and it shows you the cabin. And I took a picture of this because we have some Bales in our family history. But there are lots of places to stop, just like this, where you can get an idea of, how many people lived there and what their life was like back in the day. So as this one says, Ephraim Bales owned 72 acres here. And he farmed things, and there was a barn and a corn crib and a house and a hog pen. It tells you where you are and where the spring is. And so you can just kind of see where they are and what they lived like. There are also things like that. This was right behind Ephraim Bales' house. And it was just green and beautiful. And it was before I knew much about taking pictures, but I love taking pictures and I always have. There are also these cemeteries. And this is Lori's picture. So thank you. Photo credit to Lori. And yes, Lori said this was in the spring. This was when we went on our trip to see the synchronous fireflies in June. And so lots of family cemeteries. And like I said, Lori and I have some Bales in our family lineage. And so we were out looking for Bales, and we happened to find this one. And it was obviously a newer headstone, but I was happy to see that this was so well taken care of and so well preserved. So, he was married, and there's so much information. So he was born in 1839, died in 1914, married in 1861, and then his wife was Elizabeth Reagan, and born in 38, died in 12, daughter of, and then, it's all here. So that was really, really cool. Anyway, so that's that. And I would highly recommend going to see Roaring Fork Motor Trail. Let's see. Other things, there's Baskins Creek Trail there in the Roaring Fork Motor Trail. So there are places to park on some of these places. Some of them you park alongside the road and go from there. Sorry about that. Grotto Falls, see, blurry picture, is partially to do with the camera that I had at the time. Lori took great pictures, but this is Grotto Falls, and you can walk behind it, and there's a Grotto Falls trail as well. Matt went with me shortly after Lori and I went, and so these two pictures, not the same day. But Matt and I liked the trail so much that we went to, I took Matt back to Grotto Falls. that's that for there. Let's see. The other thing I would suggest, another place that I would suggest that you go is Newfound Gap. And Newfound Gap is a spot on this highway right here. Hopefully it'll bring it back up. That highway right there. So you can see if you're traveling up from Sugarland's Visitors Center, you're on this highway, which is 441, and you're going to twisty turny, and you're going to get to Newfound Gap. This was the spot in our most recent Smoky Mountains video where we stopped, and I just cut it out because this was the place where most people cut away from the video, but we headed across, and it has flush toilets. It's also on the Appalachian Trail, and it's just a main stopping spot and a good place to actually see it's a gap in the mountains. You can actually see the Smokies. So let me look and see. It's also the place where North Carolina and Tennessee, the road crosses the mountain. So I have that here. Whoops, you can't see that yet. There we go. Let's go to there. Thank you. So North Carolina, Tennessee state line elevation 5,046, and that's not it. Anyway, so state line is there. Let me look for my other pictures. Sorry, guys. I put them in alphabetical order instead of what I wanted to do. All right. So other places you can go from Newfound Gap is up to Clingman's Dome. Clingman's Dome. Some days you get up to the top of Clingman's Dome and it looks like this. And Clingman's Dome is the highest point in the Appalachian Mountains and the highest point in the Smokies. And other times you get up to the top of Clingman's Dome and it looks like this. However, it is the Smokies, so that's what you get sometimes. I would recommend going to see Clingman's Dome if you want to see the views of the mountains from the highest point in the Smokies. Go in the afternoon. Some of the some of the steam will have dissipated by then, and you can see it in the afternoon. Lori and I went in the morning. It wasn't as good. The road is closed in the winter, so make sure that you know whether the road is open or not. Great Smoky Mountain National Park has a wonderful Twitter feed, and they do let you know about the roads there fairly often. Cades Cove is one of the most visited spots in the park. And the Appalachian Trail sign. Lori and I hiked the whole width of the Appalachian Trail. So you see this right behind us? It is the Appalachian Trail. We hiked across it to make sure that we hike the whole width of the Appalachian Trail. And Lori's head is hiding how far Katahdin is, but we all know it's pretty far. Yes. And as Lori says, hiking up to Clingman's Dome, the walking path is up. I mean, it's not wheelchair accessible. Don't wear those Heeley shoes. Don't go and think you're going to ride a skateboard down. No. Wheelchair, it's not wheelchair accessible. It is what it is. All right. I'm getting short on time, guys. So let's keep going. Yes, Desmond Stonders, the whole width of the Appalachian Trail. You should be proud of that. And you can get t-shirts in Gatlinburg that say, I hiked the whole width of the Appalachian Trail. Or I hiked the whole width of the Appalachian Trail. So, and all right, Cades Cove. Let's keep on going. So, is that what I wanted? I hope that's what I wanted. Yes. All right. So Cades Cove. People all the time ask me, where can I go to see bears in Great Smoky Mountain National Park? They're everywhere. You just kind of have to look. But right there is a black bear in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And we saw this one in Cades Cove. And Cades Cove is another one-way road. I'll show you that on the map in just a moment. It also has vistas like this. Cades Cove is it's it's a glade, a place where people were farming in the valley of the mountains. So this is Lori and I in Cades Cove. This is another black bear in Cades Cove. This is Cable Mill. So there were lots of mills, several mills in Great Smoky Mountain National Park. And we did a video recently on Mingus Mill, but this is the mill in Cades Cove, and it's called Cable Mill. And they do still grind flour there, and you can buy that from the National Park Service. So anyway, there you go. These are some horses in Cades Cove, and it is a one-way loop road. And that's from Newfound Gap again. But anyway, very pretty picture. Let me go back to the map so I can show you the map really quick of where Cades Cove is. And so Cades Cove, again, if you're going to go and you're staying in Gatlinburg, you're going to need 45 minutes to get there. So at least. So Gatlinburg is here. You're going to take this Little River Road and then Laurel Creek Road over here to Cades Cove. And it's a one-way loop road. And it's closed to traffic on Saturday mornings. And I believe Lori said Wednesday mornings as well. Thank you, Lori, for that assist. Because they have bicyclists that can go through there. So Lori says, if you're a bicyclist, Cades Cove is open to only bicycles on Wednesday and Saturday mornings before 10 a.m. Lori and I headed over there in the middle of the week and really enjoyed our time there. There are several churches and cemeteries, and of course, an old farmstead and the mill that I showed you a few minutes ago. And there are horses and riding stables as well. So that is something fun to do. Pack your patience, because it is a one-way loop road. If you get there after 10, it's just going to be slow. Just know that it's going to be slow. Enjoy the beauty. Plan to spend the whole day there. Pack a picnic, because there really aren't too many concessions there. But pack a picnic and then head on over, because that's a neat place to go if you've never been there. So another place that Matt and I really enjoy is the Elkmont area, and I want to make sure I get to that. So we enjoyed Elkmont, and we just did a video about Elkmont Campground and the Little River Trail. And I would recommend this area for people who really want to get a taste of what Great Smoky Mountains, the human history in the area, and things like that. So a neat thing that we found over there was Daisy Town. And we did a video on Daisy Town a year or so ago, but they have all these old structures. Daisy Town used to be a club for the wealthy and elite of Knoxville to come out and get back to nature. And this is their clubhouse. And there is a kitchen, and I believe that this is still operating, and people can rent out the building. So that's an interesting thing. But most of the houses you can see here are being deconstructed there because, well, for various and sundry reasons. When the National Park Service took over the area, they basically bought out Daisy Town. There is some controversy with that. I don't know anything about it, and I'm not in charge of that, but I have heard through my videos and the comments on the videos that is a thing. But you can see where they're deconstructing the houses kind of for safety and to keep people safe. Elkmont also is home to the Little River. And this is a photograph that Matt took a year ago, and it's also on our store. So if you like this one, we would be happy to have you purchase another one, and you can find that at happytrailshiking.com/store. All right. But the Elkmont area is right here. And their campground is wonderful. And I'll keep going now and say that Oconoluftee Visitors Center and Mingus Mill were a highlight of our trip in the fall. And they are over here. So Mingus Mill is right here. Oconoluftee Visitors Center is right here. And we really enjoyed our time here. Mingus Mill is not it's not a water mill. It's a turbine mill, steam mill. And so it still runs as well. And if you want to find out more information about Mingus Mill, you can see our video there. Oconoluftee Visitors Center is on the east side of the Smokies. And it is where we found the farm museum. And you can see various and sundry ways that they, like this is part of the making sorghum. It's a sorghum. And then this was their apple barn. And fencing. I find the fencing that they used back then so interesting, and the way that they built it and the way that it stays up. I think it's cool. So we also saw elk. If you haven't seen our elk video from Wildlife Wednesday from 2 months ago, I highly recommend it. It's beautiful, and you can hear elk in rut. So that was fun. All right. So those are that. Let's see. What was my last part? General tips and extras. Okay. So general tips and extras are go. Enjoy being there. Great Smoky Mountains National Park has lots to offer. There's things to do in Gatlinburg. There's things to do in Cherokee. There's Townsend is a wonderful place to go visit. You can go floating on the rivers there. There's concessionaires there that would love to show you the mountains. There are so many places to go and see and do in Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And we haven't visited them all, just kind of like Death Valley. We haven't visited everything there either. But I was trying to think if there was another photo. Wildlife that you're going to see is varied and fun. Trails that I can recommend. One is behind the Visitor Center at Sugarlands Visitor Center, and that's the trail to Cadillac Falls. In Elkmont area, there is a Cucumber Gap trail, and we didn't see any cucumbers, but we did see this, and it's very pretty places to see and go. This is also from the Cucumber Gap Trail and Jake's Creek Trail. This is from the Little River Trail here this fall. We just took that picture, as well as that one was from the Little River Trail, but it was back in May of 2018. So there are so many places to go and see. And I'm certainly not an expert, but my personal experiences there have just, like I said at the beginning, made it so that I have a soft spot in my heart for Great Smoky Mountains National Park. And I hope that people will go visit and see what they can see. And there are lots of places to go camping. Like I said, the best place to start your journey is to look at the National Park Service website. They do have lots of information, and the rangers are there to help you make the best of your trip in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. So thank you all for being here today. And I hope that you've enjoyed this video. If you have, please like it and share it with someone else you think might be traveling to Great Smoky Mountains National Park or would like to travel to the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. I hope you've enjoyed our pictures. And it will help me out a ton if you will come back and leave a comment about your experiences with the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, or something that you would like to experience in the Great Smoky Mountains. I appreciate your time today. Thank you all for clicking on the video, and until next time, this is Kay from Happy Trails Hiking. Thanks for watching. You are not replaceable.